down, guys.
Congratulations. Yes. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. You all know that how important it is to me that our government helps to rebuild lives and restore hope for those looking to positively recover from the cycle of addiction and crime. Given the magnitude of this epidemic that we're going through, none of us can seriously believe that we can just relegate the lives of people caught up in addiction to some type of human scrap heap. Not only is that morally and ethically inconceivable to me, it's also impractical, given how deeply entrenched this national crisis has become in our society and the fact that it affects all of us in some way. As I've said before, I'm pro-life. And there are people in this audience who can disagree with that position. But I've tried to counsel all politicians, and particularly my party, that if you're pro-life, you need to be pro-life for the whole life, not just for the 9 months they're in the womb. Now, this is typically a man's statement. I think the 9 months in the womb are when it's easiest. They haven't come out yet and disappointed you. But we have to be pro-life for everybody. And I absolutely believe that those who fall on the hard times of addiction, that then leads them to crime, those who have reformed and changed their lives, that needs to be acknowledged. And I've seen firsthand what can be accomplished when we give troubled, nonviolent people a legitimate second chance to turn things around with the treatment, the support, the training, the housing, the education they need to become reintegrated into our state and our country's society. The challenge for all of us is not just about providing the services that people need, it's about changing the conversation and ending the stigma around addiction and treatment so people can come out of the shadows and their family can come out of the shadows. And they can ask for the help that they need and rejoin us as productive members of society. I'm proud New Jersey has been widely recognized as a national leader in reducing recidivism and reducing its prison population. And I believe we can do better. We can go further and build on that record. And I know that doing that is essential to saving lives because that affects real people and the children of those real people, the families surrounding those real people. It's why we expanded the drug court program to make sure that everybody has a chance to enter it. Why we've been announcing this week our new additional $200 million program. We committed some offenses. All of the offenses were nonviolent. They didn't result in incarceration, and they were committed over 30 years ago. During that time, Gail's addictions ultimately resulted in her becoming homeless. Her road to recovery began when a judge ordered her to attend substance abuse treatment. After receiving 450 days of inpatient treatment and joining Alcoholics Anonymous, her milestones and successes began to accumulate. She has since had a successful career as a bookkeeper, demonstrated the personal determination to make sure that she raised her daughter in a way that made her proud, including paying for her daughter's college education. Gail eventually was able to purchase her own home, recently married her husband, with whom she leads a sober lifestyle. All told, Gail has remained sober now for more than 33 years. She is a shining example of second chances. As a member of AA, she attends meetings to share her experiences, sponsors others in the program, hosts meetings with women who are incarcerated in the local county jail because she knows firsthand that these women can turn their lives around, contribute to their families and their communities, and achieve, hopefully, the same type of success that she's achieved. The only thing Gail's been unable to do in more than 30 years of recovery is to clear her record from the mistakes of the past. As she explains it, she's hoped to clear the wreckage of her past to make her parents proud and to better serve as an example that a person can overcome their addiction and have a good life. She makes no excuses for the time decades ago when her addiction led her into her mishaps with law enforcement. She accepts full responsibility for what happened. But to fully move forward, she has requested that I grant her a pardon of her past crimes, and you saw that I just did. For all that she's achieved over the past 3 decades, the state of New Jersey can do its part to recognize Gail for her successes and her willingness to help others. We had a great conversation this morning, and I told her that I felt like I already knew her from the huge file that I read about her and her application for this pardon. I want to thank her for stepping forward and asking for forgiveness. And I told her that I was talking to our 17-year-old son last night who was looking at my schedule for today and asked who she was. And I told him who Gail was and why she was coming. And he said to me, so you're going to sign this thing tomorrow and then all of her crimes go away? And I said, that's right. And he said, man, that is the coolest part of your job. And I told Patrick he was right. It is the coolest part of my job. To be able to look at someone who has truly redeemed their lives and to make a second chance for them, not only something that she's already well earned and is executed on, but to make it formal and official in the eyes of the law and the eyes of the people of this state. So I want to thank Gail for her courage and her commitment to first and foremost herself. I met with a group of young women this week at the Center for Great Expectations, which is a place where pregnant women receive treatment for their addiction and where they can deliver their children and have their children cared for. It's an extraordinary place. And one of the things I said to them was that I hoped that what was happening for them was especially for women who are addicted in our society, that their treatment can help to once again give them a feeling of self-confidence and self-worth that comes from inside them. I don't think there's anything more important for women of any age in our society to understand that their feelings, that their sense of self-worth, their self-confidence shouldn't come from anyone outside them, but should come from inside, based upon the gifts that God has already given them. I try to emphasize that to my 21-year-old and 14-year-old daughters all the time. No man, no set of circumstances in your life define what your worth and your value is. You define what your worth and value is. And Gail has defined her worth and value through her conduct over the last 33 years. Her story should be broadcast as a symbol of hope and influence to those who are trying to overcome the disease of addiction and those who are in the midst of recovery now already. And so I'm thrilled to be here with someone who is truly a hero, someone who's remade their own life. And I'm happy just to have a small part in acknowledging what she's already accomplished and achieved, and hope that it gives her even further inspiration to make tomorrow another day of recovery for her and for her family. So I'd like to congratulate Gail and ask her to come up and make a few remarks. Gail, congratulations.
Wow. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for the pardon, and I want to thank my family and friends who are here with me, and for everyone on the governor's staff who helped to put this together. It was a big undertaking. And while I do know my truth, I wrote it down because otherwise I'll just forget the whole thing. I'll get to, my name is Gail Naples. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and that'll be it. I'll just stand here starstruck. So my name is Gail Naples, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And that means I haven't found it necessary to pick up a drink or a drug since June of 1984. As the governor said, I grew up in a small town in New Jersey. I'm the oldest of 3 girls in a good family. And I excelled in school and was involved in many activities. I was involved in the high school band. I was involved in scouting, color guard. And, you know, drinking started then. It was kind of a social thing, and it was fun. And, but I had, you know, I had the love and respect of my family and friends, and I had, you know, a job, and I had plans for the future, college, marriage, you know. About the time I was 17 or 18, I was prescribed Percodan for pain, and, you know, after the prescription stopped, I started using heroin because that eased the pain. Whether it was psychic or physical, I don't know, and I'm not here to question it. As my disease progressed, it became difficult to keep a job, and my need for the drug increased, you know, as my disease progressed. I had no income, so I turned to stealing, and, you know, that supported my habit. But I was arrested a number of times. I wound up with 2 felonies, and, you know, I thought going to jail was okay. That was normal. My daughter, who was born in 1982, was taken away from me when she was 6 weeks old, and I thought that was okay. You know, because I just didn't know any better, and I was in this downward spiral. And I hit my emotional bottom in July of 1982. My last arrest was August 1st of 1982, and I spent the next several months in jail trying to figure out what I wanted to do, how I was going to untangle this legal mess. And it's taken me 35 years. But I chose inpatient rehab because I felt that that was a more positive choice than going to state prison. And in 1984, I got married, and my daughter, Christie, was born in 1985. She called me yesterday from San Diego to congratulate me that she's so proud of me and who I've become. She's my sober baby. Today, you know, and I just have to say, it's all because of recovery. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for recovery. I wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't on this path. So today I'm a productive member of society. I own my own home. I'm employable. I travel. I live life to the fullest. I'm a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a friend, a person in recovery. I've been involved with Friends of Recovery in Orange County. And this is an organization that helps remove the stigma of addiction, which is really important. You know, it just speaks volumes. I've worked at the county jail since 2006 as a volunteer. I try to bring hope to the inmates and the women who are incarcerated and who are stuck in the prison of this disease as well. I work to get a certificate of good conduct in the state of New York. I'm a notary. You know, all these things, all these positive things that are a result of recovery and moving forward one day at a time. And, you know, I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. It's a miracle. It is just a miracle. Thank you all. Thank you.
I want to thank Gail's family for being here. And I know that in any accomplishment like this, that you can't do it without your family's love and support, and that your family today are the people who are the most proud of you, because they're the ones who are the most proud of you every day. And so I'm very, very grateful that Gail's family members could come here today and share this moment with her and with us. Media's here, and I'm happy to take a few questions. You've got me for the last couple of days, a couple of times, so I hope there's not too many, but I'll take a few. Matt?
Gail, maybe, can you give us an example of how your past felonies have harmed you and trying to move forward now that you're 30 years sober? Like, what's an example of how this would be?
Well, for me, I did go for a job, and it required, a background check and fingerprinting. And so what happened was that, I was disqualified. It was at a school, and I was permanently disqualified from ever working at a school in New Jersey. That put that off the table. And there are a number of, especially post 9/11, there are a number of employers who are looking really specifically at people's records. It's really become more of a security concern now, even. And I'm in the financial field. Any questions? They don't want to see people who have, 2 felonies on and theft and whatever. That's just how it's affected me, really, as career-wise.
So, how does things change now that the governor is acting on this path?
Well, I believe that will no longer come up. If someone does a background check, it will no longer come up that I have these felonies, that I have this record, because it will be sealed, so to speak.
So this gives you a sense of relief, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. How could it not?
Other questions? Yeah, Michael.
Off topic,
Okay.
do you plan to endorse Randy Ramirez in the Senate race against Sweeney in the 3rd District?
I certainly can, from my perspective, I hope that every Republican who's on the ballot wins. Whether I'm going to do a specific endorsement event for Fran, I have great respect for Fran. He's been the county chairman I've worked with for a number of years down there, but I haven't had any conversations with him about it, no. But I certainly support every Republican candidate up and down the ballot unless I've said otherwise. So he certainly has my support, but whether or not we'll do some kind of specific thing just for Fran, we'll see as the campaign moves along.
Governor, on the $200 million opioid initiative, you said earlier this week that you're planning to roll out the program before telling us where exactly the money is coming from.
You're back to that. So great. Yeah, no, I already told you. You're extraordinary in your ability to not listen. It's just extraordinary. I said this week, and Friday still being a part of the week, that I was not discussing that part of it, and that next week we would get to other parts of the program and all the rest. So you continue to ask, I continue to give the same answer. You're a joy. Yes.
Governor, President Obama, last year, made extensive pardons or granted clemency to thousands of nonviolent offenders or people who basically caught up in the war on drugs. Are you considering a similar program, similar type of extensive pardons for people like Gail?
We review everyone who puts in a pardon application at the parole board. And so, no, I'm not going out and recruiting people, if that's what you're asking. But there are plenty of people who apply to the parole board, as Gail did. They are reviewed by the parole board, by the Attorney General's office, and they're passed on to the Chief Counsel's office, and Jim DiGiulio, in his current role with me, reviews them. We conduct interviews personally of the folks who are being considered for pardon to make sure that the staff gets to know them and gets to answer any questions or any gaps they might find in the application. And then it's brought to me, and it's my call. So I assume I'll be doing a number of other pardons as we get closer to the end here, but there's no kind of program put in place that's different than what I've been doing.
Them to go and find other
I haven't asked them to go and find anybody.
people that were in similar circumstances?
No, I don't ask them to go and find anyone. No, it's not a recruitment effort, Charlie. People have to want forgiveness. They have to want the pardon. I'm not going to be going out and walking down the street and asking people if they want one. If they want one, it's very clear.
People may have applied in the past.
No, I mean, listen, if they applied in the past and they've been denied by previous governors, then they would have to reapply. And if they reapply, we'll consider it. And obviously, I think we look at this issue significantly different than most of my predecessors who are hanging in this room. And so it'll get a much different look at it than I suspect it got from Corzine or McGreevy or Whitman or Florio or Kane or Byrne. I can guarantee you that. but whether, that doesn't mean we're going out and recruiting anybody now. Yeah, Phil.
Governor, as you know, there's some mayors down the street who are making a pitch today for the legislature to enact a permanent 2% cap on interest arb that's scheduled to expire year's end. Do you think there's much of a chance of getting that done before you leave office?
I think there's a real good chance of getting it done before we leave office if the leader of the Democratic Party will just tell us what his opinion is. I mean, the Senate President and the Speaker have both said that they're willing to act, but first they want to hear what Ambassador Murphy has to say. And Ambassador Murphy seems mute on this topic. Now, you can't run for governor of New Jersey and not, someone must have briefed him at this point, I would think, he spent, $20 million on people in the primary? He must have gotten somebody to brief him about the single most important piece of controlling property taxes in the state over the last 7 years. And it's inconceivable to me that 46 days before the election, he still doesn't have an opinion on this. I think what's much more likely, Phil, is that he doesn't want to anger the union bosses who he is the, maiden of, because that's what he is. He's beholden to these union interests, and he doesn't want to tell them. So what he wants to do is to just get by this, not have to worry about it, let it expire, and then there'll be unlimited pay increases for public employees at the expense of the taxpayers, which hasn't happened now for 7 years. That's the simple decision he has to make. Do you want unlimited pay increases for public employees at the expense of the taxpayers, or do you want to continue a program that is a bipartisan program that's been in place for now almost 7 years? I can't imagine why he doesn't have an opinion on this. I suspect he does. And I suspect you all will continue to ask him. Because, heck, if you keep asking me every day about when I'm going to talk about where the money's coming from, and I've told you I'm going to tell you next week, you should, I hope, be at least as diligent with Ambassador Murphy about something that's significantly more important. Yeah.
What are the chances of getting the trio of expungement bills through the legislative body?
I feel pretty good about that. I've spoken to both Republican and Democratic leadership in the Senate and the Assembly, and I believe that'll be a priority for lame duck.
And can you just clarify what the difference legally between expungement and what we do today is?
Well, expungement is an operation of law. This is an executive action, a constitutionally executive action of clemency and pardoning. So one is done as an operation of law by statute. You have a certain set of terms that lay down when something can be expunged. A pardon can be done at any time for any reason or no reason at all by the executive under the Constitution. So there's no statute that can change my ability under the Constitution to grant a pardon or a commutation of sentence.
But with the same effect, which is...
Well, sure, at the end, it's the same effect. The record no longer exists. It's not just that it's sealed, it's gone. It's as if it never happened. When the pardon occurs, or an expungement for that matter, it's as if it never happened. Matt?
Maybe what Charlie was trying to get at, because I'm curious. So it sounds like if somebody right now is trying to go through the process, they probably don't have enough time to
Oh, they have enough time.
to go through.
Sure.
But do you have any sense of, does your staff give you any sense of, like, are there other cases sitting on your desk like Gail?
Not on my desk yet, but on theirs.
Okay. But any sense of a number? Can you give us like a figure? Or?
No. I don't have a sense of one. Talk to DiGiulio, maybe he'll tell you. I don't know, but I don't have a sense of one. Listen, I'm not sitting around here, guys, saying to them, bring me all these pardons. Like, this is not what I'm doing. We have had a process that Rich Bagger and Jeff Chiesa set up with the parole board and the Attorney General's office under Paula Dow in 2010. I had a very specific request for them about setting up an orderly process of pardons that I wanted to consider during my entire time as governor. And as you know, I've pardoned somebody every year as governor, at least one person every year, and sometimes more. So it's not like I'm all of a sudden thinking, 115 days left, let's get the pardon machine running. I know that often is the case, but it's just not the way I operate. So if someone's worthy and in the pipeline, we'll make sure. And I think the only thing that will change at this point is, for Jim to convey to them, like, no dilly-dallying. Like, move the paper so he can get it, so he can review it, and he can give it to me. And then I'll make decisions. Yeah, Michael.
About sick leave payouts.
Uh-huh.
The DCA has a rule proposal that would make some changes in that area. For one, your bank days
Seems fair.
If you were to use unused sick days, your most recent, most valuable one, but is that, if you can talk about those proposals and you know, is that basically the best thing you're going to hope to do with the legislature to go around them?
Yeah, I think that is the best I can hope to do now. Maybe they'll get inspired. I don't understand why, and I've never understood, except for their obedience to their union bosses, why they think it's a good idea to have $1 billion in sick leave payouts as a liability for the taxpayers of the state of New Jersey. Sick leave is, you know, like, it's been 8 years. I'm almost tired of saying this, but like, sick leave is for when you're sick. And the idea that if you don't get sick during your career, you should get paid for not being sick, like, I don't understand that. What it's there for is if you are sick, you can get paid. But so the deal on this now is, if you are sick, you get paid, and if you're not sick, you get paid. Well, then why don't we just add it to salary and be done with it, and make the whole thing just, you know, the farce that it is. I mean, so I think the rules that they're making say you get paid for your sick days at the rate that you're being paid when you earn them. Well, that seems to make sense. If you didn't use a sick day 20 years ago and you're getting paid $50,000 a year, but now 20 years later you're getting paid $125,000 a year, why should you be paid for the sick day from 20 years ago at the rate that you're earning today? When else does that happen? Only government can do this, right? Only government can come up with these rules. Or what I should really say is only government would acquiesce to that type of crap. But they do it because there is a majority in this city who cannot say no to the unions. They just can't. Whether it's the police, fire, teachers, doesn't matter. They can't say no. I've made it my business to say no for 8 years to them, and that's why they love me so much. Yeah.
At one point, the legislature was willing to go to a cap, but then not all the way to zero. In retrospect, we should take a cap.
No. It's a principled position for me. I don't believe you should be paid because you were lucky enough not to be sick. It's a principled position. What, you should get $15,000 for not being sick? As like a health bonus? Like, I don't know. Like, it just makes no sense to me. And so everybody understands the gravity of this. This is $1 billion of liability on the books. You have police officers and firefighters leaving their jobs and getting $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 checks on the way out. And those checks are your money. They're your property tax dollars going out the door. It's insane. But, you know, the legislature, you know, as long as you're going to permit a huge Democratic majority in this state, this is what will happen. And, man, if I'm not here in 115 days or someone from my party, Katie, bar the door. Get ready. The pigs will come to the trough. They will come to the trough. They've been held off from it for 8 years because I've continued to say no. So, no, Michael, I don't wish I would have taken the $15,000 cap. I don't. I think it would have been wrong for me to do. And I think it's the obligation of the legislature to not spend people's money that irresponsibly to buy votes. And that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Governor, on Monday you said that we would see the statewide opioid commission report shared by Charlie McKenna this week. Friday's not open yet.
Here you go. Sit back and live in hope. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Governor, at least one member of Congress, the Republican member of Congress, hasn't taken a position on the health care bill. We know you're against it. Would you lobby New Jersey's congressional delegation in the House?
I think I already did. I mean, you know, listen, it seems that whenever I say anything, it gets a lot of attention. And, you know, lots of other governors have put out statements being for and against this, and the coverage I've seen in the last 2 days about my statement has well outstripped the coverage of anything else. Believe me, given the calls I've gotten from the White House, nobody missed that I'm against this bill. Okay? I can guarantee you. Nobody's missed it. So nobody in Congress needs an extra phone call from me to pick up the phone and call whoever, Rodney, Leonard, you know, Frank, for me to say, by the way, I'm against it because it takes $4 billion away from the people of the state of New Jersey, and I think it's wrong. I've said it. I'm the governor. I don't need to lobby. My lobbying is by standing behind this podium and talking into that microphone, and all of you tweeting, writing, broadcasting what it is I say. I can guarantee you there's not MacArthur, Lobiondo, Frelinghuysen, Lance, Smith, none of them missed that the leader of their party in the state is against the health care bill that's being considered right now by the Senate. So I'm not going to be getting on the phone and making phone calls to these guys. It's insulting. They heard me. They heard me. As did the White House. Believe me, Matt, because I've gotten the phone calls. Nobody missed it. You know, I'm getting questions about whether I'm going to sign a letter. Like, what I did is a hell of a lot better than signing a letter. I stood in front of all of you and I answered your questions. And I have a clear and unambiguous position on the bill. I'm against it. So, you know, I don't know if you want me to go and, like, you know, beat them up a little bit, but that's not the way my relationship works with the members of Congress. They know what I think. And if they've got any questions, one of them had a question yesterday about part of it. He picked up the phone and called. We had a conversation. I explained our Medicaid position and told him why I was against it. He said, "Thanks for the clarification, Governor. I'm trying to make my decision here." I said, "You got it." That's the way it works. I mean, this is much more professional and not showtime. I don't need to put on a show, at least not on this. Charlie?
So what did the angry White House want?
I didn't say anything about the White House being angry, Charlie. You said that. I said I got calls from the White House that they noticed. They noticed.
The implication was that they were not happy.
No, that was your inference. It was not my implication, Charlie. You can't imply anything that comes out of my mouth. You infer. I imply. Right, Charlie? And I didn't imply anything. I said, Charlie, I said the White House certainly noticed, given the phone calls I got from them. You know, you already got in your little notebook your story written about that. So it's of no moment what I say with you most of the time anyway. But let me be very clear once again. I did not imply anything. You inferred it. So when you write it, make sure your readers know that this is coming out of your head, not out of my mouth. Yeah.
Governor, have you seen the news that the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey is looking into Woodcliff Lake and allegations that there was potential abuse of the religious land use law there? Mayor Rendo is the governor's running mate.
Yeah, I just read about it this morning. All I know about it is what I read about it this morning. So I don't have any comment on it.
If you're a voter in New Jersey, what should you...
I don't have any I have no comment on it. All I know is what I read from what you guys wrote this morning. And when I was U.S. Attorney for 7 years, I often marveled at the way you characterized whatever I was doing at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So if you think I'm going to give a comment based upon what you guys wrote about what you think they're doing, no chance, no comment. Anything else? I warn you out.
One more inference question.
Sure. Sure. What are you inferring now, Charlie?
Well, so they called you because, why, they just have a general conversation, or what? I mean,
They called to discuss my position on the bill.
You from this position?
They called to discuss my position on the bill. And I had that discussion with them. In fact, I didn't even have the discussion alone. As I recall, I think I was sitting there with my chief of staff, I think, and put it on the speaker so she could hear it too. So, listen, I've told you guys this over and over again. I don't have any problem expressing my opinion to the president or the White House. When I'm supportive, I express it. When I'm not supportive, I express it. And so, you know, I'm sure they're always much more pleased when I'm supportive than when I'm not. That would be anybody. But, you know, they understand that this is a position that's important to the people of my state. And it goes beyond party politics. My decisions in my interaction with Washington over my 8 years as governor, both when President Obama was president and since President Trump has been president, I make the decisions based upon what's best for my state. And that's why I welcomed President Obama to New Jersey 2 days after Sandy and 6 days before his re-election with Mitt Romney, who I was the biggest surrogate in the country for. And I heard about that more than I heard about anything else when I was running for president in the Republican primary. Was my decision to do that. And I would do it again today. If we had the same situation today, I would do it again today. There are things that are bigger than politics. And back in 2012, recovery from Hurricane Sandy and treating the President of the United States with respect was more important than politics. And opposing Graham Cassidy because of what it does to the state of New Jersey and would do to the state of New Jersey, is more important than politics. It's not a personal disagreement. It's not even a political disagreement. It's a policy disagreement between me and the sponsors of the bill. That's all it is. And by the way, I said the other day when I was being interviewed on television about this that they could make some changes to the bill that could make me support it. Now, whether they'll do that or not, I don't know. I saw Governor Sandoval came out very strongly against it as well, and since I have. There are a number of really thoughtful, good governors, Republican governors around the country who have real concerns about this. And we're expressing those, and that's part of the process. And then, unfortunately, Matt, in today's world, that's the way we lobby. You know, we speak publicly about this stuff. And so the White House called. They asked me to explain my position to them. I explained it to them. We had good back and forth about it and talked about it. They didn't change my mind, and I didn't change theirs. So that's the way it goes. Yeah.
In all fairness here, though, if it comes down to a vote or two in the House, I mean, yes, Tom MacArthur might know your position publicly, but when it's come to Sandy funding, you get on the phone and you talk to members of Congress.
I spoke to other, I never had to speak to a New Jersey member of Congress during Sandy funding, and I never did, okay? I talk to people who don't know me, so they can get the joy of having that personal interaction with me, which they don't normally get because they're not in the state. All 12 of the members of the House, Democrat and Republican, have been dealing with me now for 16 years as U.S. Attorney and then as Governor. Believe me, Matt, they don't need to hear from me again specifically on this, that it would make any difference in their vote. Each one of those members, Republicans and Democrats, are going to vote their conscience on this if it gets to the House. And if it comes down to one or two votes, it won't be one or two New Jersey votes. I'm willing to bet you that. It'll be votes that come from other places. And if I have a relationship with any of those folks and I want to express myself because we don't talk normally, I'll pick up the phone and call. But I don't typically do that to our folks in the state. Remember, I'm the leader of the party. They know me. And they know that I wouldn't have said that publicly unless it was important. Remember how many different iterations of this bill have existed already that I refuse to comment on. Because I said, well, it's too early and you don't really know if this is the bill you're going to vote on, all the rest of it. And I know you all thought I was just trying to dodge then, but it turned out I was right because none of those bills ever went anywhere. This bill is scheduled for vote and has a chance to go someplace. So when that moment comes, then you have an obligation as a leader to express your opinion. So I have. And everybody heard it, believe me. Everybody heard it. That's good. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I would like to point out the contrast between me and the guy who, on the Democratic Party, is aspiring to have this job. And you can't get him to express an opinion on anything other than raising taxes and raising spending. I'm more than happy to talk about that. Because that's easy. That's easy stuff. You know, the hard stuff is stuff like this. And, you know, when you're saying something that's contrary to what people expect you to say. So, man, wouldn't it be refreshing if he actually stood up and told us what he thought about the interest arbitration cap? It wouldn't even be more refreshing if he put the taxpayers first and put his union, you know, bosses second. It would be pretty nice, too. It would be nice if he did it on Simon's question, too, about sick leave. And he told these Democrats in the legislature, I want a sick leave bill on my desk if I become governor. Be a good thing. I'm not holding my breath waiting for that, but it would be a good thing. So we're trying to set an example for Ambassador Murphy and Lieutenant Governor Guadagno about what it's like to be standing back here, because everybody thinks they know what it's like to stand behind this. You don't know till you're doing it. Believe me, I can tell them that. They all think they got it knocked, because I did too in 2009. I thought I knew better than Corzine. I didn't then. It turns out that once I got here I did, but I didn't then. Yeah, so, yeah. Are these press questions or not? Because okay, I'm sorry. I just have to stay to the press questions. Yeah.
Governor, in the past few days, I've heard you talk a lot about how women should derive their self-confidence from within, and their man can find their worth and value. I'm interested in what you think about the remarks, the recording of Republican Assemblyman Parker Space referring to his Democratic opponent as a bitch.
I haven't heard the tape, but it's not good. Not good to say those things. So, you know, I don't know that that is the only thing that defines Parker Space, but fact is, you say stuff like that's not good. Now, You know, I would love to take a quiet, informal poll of the audience about whether they ever said anything that they wish they could take back, that they regretted. I got a feeling we probably get a pretty good percentage of the people in the audience who have said things that they regret. So, you know, if he regrets it too, he should apologize. If we believe the apology is genuine, we should accept it, because people make mistakes. So I know Parker pretty well, and I don't think this is what defines Parker. But if you're asking me, is it okay to say that? No, it's not okay to say that. It's not. Have I heard others say that about other people at times? Mm-hmm. I've heard people use bad words about people sometimes. I've used bad words about people sometimes. You know, it happens. So I know that it never happens in the media, but it really, with real people, it really happens sometimes. So, you know, he shouldn't do it, and then once he's done it, it's a mistake, and he should apologize for it. But after that, you know, we should move on, because I know Parker pretty well, and I think he's a person of good character. But people of good character make mistakes sometimes. So apologize if you made a mistake, move on. But I'm certainly not going to stand up here and be sanctimonious about whether I've ever called anybody a bad name. I think I've done it in public, let alone in private. So, you know, it happens sometimes. We're human. Anything else? Well, I want to thank Gail again, not only for everything she's done, but for standing up here during that. I want to thank her for it. And I want to tell all of you that I think today's an important day, not just for Gail, but it's an important message for us to send to other people who are in recovery. That hopefully New Jersey will continue, after I leave, to maintain a forgiving heart. And for those people who have worked really hard to change their life, to not think that one or two or three mistakes will forever define who you are. And so I'm thrilled for Gail. I'm glad that we were able to do this in a way, in a time where hopefully it has more than just psychic meaning in her life, but will help to present her with other opportunities, not just for her personally, but for her to talk about this to those that she helps every day, to give them hope that it can happen for them too. And so it's a good part of my week. It's been a good week in general, but this is a good part of my week. I told her earlier, this one tops it, which is why we saved it for Friday. It sends me off into the weekend in a good way, which my family particularly likes. Because when I come home on Friday in a bad way, they generally don't like it. They generally tend to leave then and just leave me alone. So I'm glad. Thank you for letting me start my weekend in a good way, and I am happy to now have met you personally as opposed to just reading your story, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the next stage of your life. So congratulations, Gail.
Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
I'm Mike Santilla. I'm also a person in long-term recovery.
I saw you.
Yeah,
I caught your eye.
So this is great. I'm also